Good evening, everyone, to our first day of our public meeting regarding the budget for budget hearing, and it's January 30th, 2023. Madam Clerk, would you take roll call, please?
Councilwoman Scabbage?
Here.
Councilman Tinella?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Peterson? Mayor Messeri?
Here. Open public meeting statement. Adequate notice of the departmental budget hearing was duly provided to the Verona Cedar Grove Times by email and published in the January 26, 2023 issue, filed with the Township Clerk and posted in the Public Bulletin Board in the Municipal Building Lobby in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Item 2 on the agenda. The meeting is open to the public for anyone wishing to be heard on any issue concerning the budget or any other matter. Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the meeting. We'll go to item 3, and we'll begin with the budget hearing. Good evening, Mr. Zucchelli.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, members of the council. This is our first night of budget hearings. I'll begin by going through the departments we're going to cover tonight, and then we'll do like we do every year, an analysis of what the budget is. It's important to remember this is just the appropriation side of the budget. Revenues are not here yet. We'll get them around mid-March.
Yes.
And then at that point, we'll take the appropriations, we'll take the revenues, we'll put them together, and we'll strike a tax rate for the council's consideration. So tonight, we're gonna go through the town council, town manager, legal services, which includes our town attorney and non-retainer matters, prosecutor, public defender, township clerk, and elections. We have the municipal court, tax assessor, finance department, the tax collector. At 5:45, the library will be here. The health department at 6, public buildings, the planning board, building inspector, plumbing inspector, electrical inspector, and code enforcement at 6:15. And tomorrow we'll do the remaining departments. You guys have any questions before we jump into the council budget?
None for me.
So page 1 begins with the town council. As you'll see this year, there's no change in the appropriation. Last year it was $11,605. This year it maintained the same there. $125 going to the Passaic River Coalition seminar. There's other money in here for our magazines that you receive, $130 for that. There's a $10,000 line item for our internet service provider. That's what maintains the website on the council's end. There's $300 for naming and nameplates for council members and positions after the reorg meeting, and bereavement for $300. It's always nice to acknowledge different events in town or send our sympathies if needed. And again, that budget stayed the same at $11,605 from last year. There's no change on that. Any question on the council budget?
No.
We'll next go to the manager's budget. It's on page 2. So there's a significant decrease in this budget from last year of $41,390. That's largely reflective of a salary decrease for the manager position. Other expenses remain the same for travel at $750. The New Jersey Municipal Manager Association of $255, that remained the same, as well as the Atlantic City League for $60. Employee training for $1,000 just to keep up to date with any outstanding or new certifications. $4,500 for statutes and pocket parts. It's still cheaper to get the statutes in print form than maintaining a service that provides them online for us. And beneath that is $100 for special articles and publications. And there's a $200 line item for miscellaneous supplies. Grand total, this budget, again, as I stated, decreased from $210,906 in 2022 to $169,006 in 2023. It's a $41,930 decrease. Any questions on the manager budget? Next. We're gonna just jump around, unless, Dale, you wanna come up now? We can-
Sure, let's
Okay, cool. We'll go to the clerk, she's next in the book. Like, this is my first budget hearing on this side of the table, it's Dale's first budget hearing as well.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
So there's two important components to this year's clerk's budget that Dale will speak to. And the first is the clerk's budget as a whole, which, again, this has a slight decrease of $3,395 here. It sets aside $6,000 for the publication of ordinances, $1,000 for employment ads, bulk mailing permit, $400, it's the same as last year. ABC licenses, $36, township letterhead, $250. Codification services of $6,000, that stayed the same as last year as well. And probably the most important, Dale, for this is the conference and dues to maintain the RMC and the other licenses that you have.
Yes.
Again, this budget stayed the exact same. Last year it was 2704. This year it's also 2704. You go to the next page for copying. There's $2,000 allotted for that, and $500 for council meeting if there needs to be a transcript or if someone requests information about that. There's $1,275 allotted for books and publications, for administrative law, the league magazines, and West Group title. That stayed the exact same as it was last year. $275 allotted for minute books, which is what we use to put our minutes in, right?
Yes.
That's $375, that maintained the same from last year. Overall, this budget decreased again from $165,427 to $162,032. Any questions on this end of the clerk's budget? Anything you want to add, Dale?
No, I just want to point out again that we have about a $3,400 decrease in a departmental expense. You ready to get to
Yeah.
elections?
This is where Dale gets real excited. You want to talk about the next one, and I'll fill in as needed?
Sure, thank
Okay.
you. I'm proud to present what I think is a fiscally sound budget. Excuse me. My only increase is for municipal elections this year, as you know. And my election budget has an increase to accommodate the stipend increases for the master board workers and the other board workers as well. The good news is that this year we have an increase, but next year we'll have a decrease of at least 27,000 because we won't have a municipal election. So slight increase now, but next year.
And being that the election's every 2 years, that ebbs and flows. It goes up, it goes down. Just going through the elections account real quick. $106 for vote by mail, $312 for polling place notices. Again, a lot of these expenses were not incurred last year because there was no May municipal election. The total for the May municipal comes to $9,448. Sample ballots, $8,920, and poll books at $528. And as Dale noted, there was an increase for the master board worker from $300 to $400, which will be reflected in this year's election budget, bringing this total to $33,908. Again, an increase from last year's $7,405. But as Dale noted, this will go back down next year because there's no May municipal election.
And please, let me not be remiss, the board workers also get an increase from the 200 to 300 as well.
Yeah, so that's another cost that we're incurring. And that, just so you know, as Dale indicates, $27,000 difference between last year and this year, which we'll see on the down end next year.
Thank you.
Any questions on the elections or the clerk budget?
Not for me.
No. Thank you.
All right, let's jump to legal services real quick. That's page 15 of our budget here. So legal services, again, this maintained exactly the same. There was no increase here. We have $50 for league conference, $100 for the New Jersey Institute of Municipal Attorney dues. That totals $160. For retainer matters, that's $33,016. Non-retainer matters, $120,000. And our county and state tax appeals is $50,000. And as Rich will explain when he's here, very seldom do we have to appear for tax appeals where there's not a lot of movement because Rich is really on the money with his metrics and whatnot. Again, this expense here last year was $203,176, and that maintained exactly the same this year. There's no increase on that line. Any questions on that end? That's for town council and other matters. Okay. On that note, we will move on to metrics here. jump around a little bit to the prosecutor before we come back to the court. That's on page 19 of the budget. Prosecutor has an increase of $1,769. Again, that's a reflection of the Social Security increase. This budget went up from $22,446 in 2022 to $24,215 in 2023. Very nominal increase overall. Bob Candido's been our prosecutor for 33 years, I think, right? Up there. And he just does a great job. Real quick to the next page, we'll do the public defender. Again, Peter Russo, he does a great job also. That budget, slight increase that went from $6,094 to $6,574. Very small increase of $480, also nominal. Any questions about the prosecutor budget, the public defender budget?
Just one question.
Sure.
Maybe for the public's, so the public's clear on it. I noticed that the prosecutor's, session, rate per session and multiplied by the sessions, can you just explain why the public defender's is less? I mean,
Yeah,
I
sure.
understand it, but.
Sure,
just for the
so,
public.
so the public defender, I mean, everybody has a right to counsel, and sometimes people appear pro se, I would imagine, or, which means by themselves, or sometimes they appear with their own attorney. So the public defender sessions are less because frankly, he's not needed as many sessions as the prosecutor is needed. And, you know, we could ask the judge when he comes up here, but I'm sure many individuals probably appear by themselves, or if they feel the need, bring their own attorney, and if they can't, the township does provide public defender
We
to
bring
them,
in the public defender as needed.
as needed.
Alright, so
we're doing it
the
advance.
public defender's not required to be at every
No,
session.
not
We only bring him
required.
in as needed when, you know, there's an application for a public
Yes.
defender.
That's correct.
And you try to coordinate it, Judge, for, you know, so there's multiple appearances for the
If
public
there's
defender?
4 appearances in a month and we have a public defender gonna be in 3 days, we make those 3 days the same 3 days.
Okay,
Yeah, so his sessions
Or less.
are less, if he's needed.
great, thank you.
Any other questions on that?
Not for me.
Judge, come on up. We can go to the municipal court, that begins on page 16.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening, Judge.
Before we get into the budget though, I want to share some, thank you, Judge.
16th.
16. Before we get into this, I want to share some good news that I've received today from the courts. Having been here for almost 2
Thank
weeks,
you.
I see how great the court truly operates. Terry and everyone, her staff in there, Courtney, Mary, and Judge. So I received a letter, or not a letter, I guess a status update
Status.
from Judge Cole, who's the presiding municipal judge. And I just want to read an excerpt from it. Special acknowledgement for Cedar Grove, whose backlog did not increase in any category, with substantial decreases in the parking and other categories. For this month, Cedar Grove holds the #1 spot in the vicinage for the traffic backlog category, #2 spots in parking, DUI, and other categories. A special acknowledgement to Cedar Grove. So really, this is something we always say when you come here, but it's nice to see the acknowledgement throughout Essex. And I think you know, Judge, that the council and us as a township, we appreciate everything you and the court does. So I just
Thank
wanted to
you.
share that with members of the governing body tonight. Bob Candido was kind enough to email it to me, so I figured I would read it into the record tonight.
Thank you.
All right, you ready to roll?
Yep.
Okay. You want to start, or you want me to go through it?
No, I thought Mr. Tucci was here. I was watching you,
Yeah?
your intonisms and the
Well,
way you handle everything.
I sat up here for just 3 budget sessions by myself with the council on that side of the aisle, and I've watched it for a very long time, so we're
You
trying
learned a
to-
lot.
Yeah, we're trying to, it's big shoes to fill, but we're trying, Judge. Okay, this court budget, again, just very conservative with the budget. We'll start down the telephone line, it maintained the same at $3,300. Additional line for fax, $550, separate line for court, $550. That 230 account maintained the exact same as it was last year, there's no change in that whatsoever. Postage, $13.25, that stayed the same as well. There's gonna be some changes in the 240 account, and realistically, this maintained the same, but there's gonna be fees, I guess, for, that's in the other account, for Zoom is gonna increase. I think we budgeted $250 for last year, we're gonna probably increase that to $300 this year, because court is still virtual.
Yes.
And
I'm in the courtroom. the court administrators in the courtroom, but the people log in on the computer
Yeah.
from home. And they seem to like it. 'Cause, you know,
I'm sure the attorneys love it,
the attorneys love it. Some of them have 2, 3 screens on in their office.
yeah. They could go to multiple appearances
Yeah.
without the travel.
I wasn't aware of that. Are you gonna continue to do that, or is that
As
something?
long
It's
as,
mandated.
Oh, it's
they're
mandated?
requiring it, yeah,
Through the state?
to prevent the spread of the virus.
Now, DUI, there's certain matters that are required to be in person.
Yeah, DWIs, pleas, trials, they're in-person proceedings. So they're handled on special days.
But it's amazing, because I would remember being here on Wednesdays and you'd see people lined up to come in, and now it's.
To be downstairs.
Right, it's virtual, virtual now. So we'll go to the conference and dues. That maintained the exact same at $1,110 from last year, no change there. Same with maintenance of other equipment, $1,820. Now realistically, this is a testament to Judge Brindisi. There's a line item in here for acting judge at $200. I can't remember the last time another judge had to come in and substitute. Judge is always here.
When my mother passed away, I took the day off,
How long ago was that?
18 years ago.
So the judge is very committed to the township, we know it, and we're grateful to have his service for that.
I'm still sad about my mother passing away.
Of course. So, and same with the interpreter, that stayed in at $950, but I think we use a telephone service for that now, right?
Yes.
We dial in. Otherwise, this budget, again, the only thing here that's gonna change is the Zoom from $250, that's gonna increase to $300, given the increase for the software itself. For the books and publications account, that had a $7 increase. You'll see that in court rules, but there was and municipal court matters publication. Again, that's a very, very slight increase from what it was last year. Same with the 350 account, the office supplies, that stayed the exact same at $795. Overall, this budget increased very slightly from $319,605 in 2022 to $322,563 in 2023 as proposed. Judge, you want to talk about what you handed to us a little bit here, the revenues?
Yeah, this is just this isn't revenue, this is the volume.
Okay.
If you can see, I run it back about 15 years. And the last 3 years, because of COVID, you'll see we're approximately half of criminal charges as previously filed, and about half of traffic violations as previously filed. But we're coming back.
Yeah, it's slowly ticking up, right? So that is our court budget. Anything else you want to add, Judge, or Terry, anything? No?
No?
Well, again, thank
Although
you.
Terry reminded me today, we're a team.
100%. 100%.
We're
Terry
a team.
reminded me today you're a team too. No, but seriously, I've been here for 2 weeks in this capacity, and it's a testament. The council says it all the time. You guys really operate very efficiently, and we're grateful for the service that you do for the township. And like I said, you're very reliable, and you're the standard for other judges in the area. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Judge.
Good night.
Thank you.
See, Rich Hamilton's here.
Yes,
You ready to go, Rich?
yes.
Rich is under the finance tab. So let's go back.
Hey, how are you? How's everybody? Good, good.
This is page 11 of our budget book. Rich, you want to talk about our ratables and everything first, and then we'll jump into the budget, just so the council knows where we're
I
at?
do. The tax list was filed on January 10th with the Essex County Board of Taxation. Our ratables have increased by $29.4 million. That's new construction, additions, renovations, on every which side, whether it's residential or commercial. Cedar Grove is a very healthy real estate economy. And also to that point, we have not had a tax court judgment over the past 2 years that has resulted in a refund. And it just really reflects what a good real estate market is, Cedar Grove is, on both the residential and commercial side.
Good.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Rich, did we see a reval come in our future at some point again? It's been a long time.
2010 was our
2010 was
last
the last one.
revaluation. Both Cedar Grove and West Caldwell, my two towns, are the longest revals currently in Essex County. They do look at the statistics every year, though, so some think that it's every 10-year. It's not. They really do look at the statistics. And what the Essex County Tax Board wants to look at is the town, are our various neighborhoods moving together, appreciating at the same rate? And they do look at that, and we are seeing the same appreciation throughout the township. They look at our tax appeal judgments, so that if you're not losing ratables through tax appeals, it's a sign that you've got good assessments. So they look at tax appeals, they look at added assessments, they look at a standard deviation, again, to see that are we moving at about the same pace, and we are. They look at it each year. So currently, we're not under order to reval, but I certainly would expect an order coming that we would be doing a reval possibly 3 to 4 years from now.
3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
And just a brief overview, so can you just explain what that would look like?
Sure. The town would hire a revaluation company. Every property is inspected. Every property gets a new value that would estimate 100% of their value. So everyone gets a reval. The most common misconception about revals is that they are not revenue neutral. They are completely revenue neutral. We only raise the amount to satisfy the school budget, Essex County, and Cedar Grove. So it's revenue neutral. Some people's taxes go up, some go down, some stay about the same. And because our statistics are so good, I think that we wouldn't see dramatic shocks within our township. If you had a big standard deviation, you would see one neighborhood maybe a dramatic increase and one with a dramatic decrease. But because our statistics are good and within what the State Division of Taxation finds acceptable, I wouldn't anticipate that we would see big changes in taxes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Rich, let's get, again, this budget, really, there's not much of an increase here. It's a $5,487 increase overall, we'll go through it. There's gonna be a slight increase to the travel, budget, that's $815, that's gonna get bumped up slightly. Tax printing, last year, that there's a slight $150 increase on that from assessment, notices, which was $2350, now going to $2,500. There is a increase in conference and dues. This is the largest increase of it because one of our employees is going to be taking a tax assessor course as well. That's reflected in this budget here. Specialized appraisals or professional services, that maintained the exact same at $21,000. Books and publications, $65, stayed the same. Computer, paper, and ribbon, $75, that stayed the same also. For an overall, this budget again went from $134,924 in '22 to $144,11 in '23. Very, very nominal increase. Any questions for Rich about what he was talking about, or the assessor's budget? No? Rich, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good to see everyone.
Lubna, come on down. I feel like
All right,
Lubna's back at the beginning.
all right. Thank you.
So you can easily see the decrease amount.
So we're gonna, finance department, had a $92,875 decrease. Again, this was largely due to salary change. And then we'll go through the line items like we work for every other department. Printing and binding, that stayed the same at $350. This is again, very important. Lubna has many certifications, and she uses all of them, I can say that. I've been working with Lubna now for 2 weeks, and we really value her insight and her knowledge on this.
Thank you.
So that has a increase from $24.35 to $64.15. Very nominal increase in that line item, but one that's certainly worth it, and we're certainly getting our dollars worth out of that. I think Lupton has 5 certifications?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's very well worth the township's investment. The computer maintenance account, the $261, it's on page 9 of the book. That's gonna increase from 3,800 to 4,000, very nominal increase. 290 account to professional services, again, very nominal, that went from 3,604 in 22 to 4,040 in 23. Office supplies, that stayed the exact same at $16,100. For a total budget here, this went from 284,925 in 22 to 192,50 in 23. Very large decrease there.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that, Lubna?
Yeah, this is because of Bill Homer. As you already know, he has retired, and there is no finance director transition. So you can see there is a big change in salary and wages instead of other expenses. Overall, you can see there is an increase of $4,616 in expenses, but you can also see in the salary and wages, there is a big decrease, that's all.
Which offsets greatly. While Lubna's here, we'll talk about the audit. We get these nicely bound books every year from our audit company.
Right.
And they do a pretty good job. The audit here has a very, very slight increase. The annual audit went up from $12,754 in 2022 to $13,009 in 22. As it's distributed, this total cost in 22 was $31,183. This went up to $31,806. That's a very, very small increase for the audit. We rely on them quite a bit in town, right? You want to talk about what the auditors do, just for
Right,
us real quick?
these numbers were given to me by the auditors, and these numbers were in the auditor's proposal. So it's not like we just increase it, we just got it from the auditors.
Yes. And I think we've had pretty good success with our auditing
Yes.
company. They're pretty good, and everything's with that. All right. Let's jump to, any questions about the auditor or the finance budget before we jump to the tax collector budget? Okay. Again, this is another budget that reflects a decrease here. This is a $3,106 increase from what it was in 22. Mileage stayed the same at $50, printing and billing, the 240 account, that stayed the same at $1,965, maintain the exact same. Conference and dues here, same as it was last year, $3,741, stayed the exact same. That's continuing education, tax collectors license renewal, and the Tax Collectors and Treasurers Association, both of which Lubna has. Computer maintenance contract, $1,300, stayed the exact same. And for the 29004 account, fees for professional services stayed the exact same at $2,118. Data processing, that stayed at $200. Overall, the tax collector's budget went from $80,520 in 22 to $77,414. Any comments on this one, Lubna?
Yeah, the salary between 2022 and 2023 has decreased in the amount of $3,281, and this is again because of Bill Homer.
Yeah. And I think too, we sit up here and we say, this decreased, this stayed the same. Given inflation and where things are at in the world, it's very, prudent of the township to continue these types of pay what you need, not what you want, and as you go, approach. And I know Lubna's a big fan of that as well. Mm-hmm. So to say, this stayed the same, this increased, it's really a testament to the department heads and compiling a budget that's very, very reflective of what they need.
And as you can see, there is like $400 increase in printing and binding, and this is because of the postage. The postage has increased from 60 cents to 63 cents.
Yeah.
So.
And we'll see this too, more especially when the recreation budget comes up, but the minimum wage increase is also being felt by the township. Even for part-time employees, that went from $11.30 to $12.93. So it's $1.63, but an hour, it all adds up when, it's by hours and by employees.
Right, so overall, there is a decrease of $2,881 in this department.
Great.
Thank you.
Any questions for Lubna? No?
Thank you.
Lubna, you're good. Catherine, ready to roll.
Glad I came early. Howdy.
Hi.
Good.
This is page 59 of our budget book. Is there any questions for Catherine before we jump in? No?
Okay.
So here again, salary stayed the exact same as they were last year, which is, again, huge. Internet access, the 230-47 account, stayed the same at 5,300. For heat, power, and lighting, it stayed the same at 19,800. Water and sewer at 1,200, all the exact same as it was in '22. There's conference and dues here. Again, these conferences, $200 for library director's dues, trustees membership, that's $75, new training seminar, $150, children library dues, $50. These are very small numbers that reflect a decrease in the conference and dues from $1,210 in '22 to $625 in '23 as proposed. Go to the maintenance account, the 261 account. There's a increase here, a very slight increase from $10,650 in 2022 to $15,350 in '23. Again, and this, is reflective of a $200 increase with maintenance repairs. Plumbing stayed the same. Fire extinguisher services, all that stayed the same. There's $200 increase in the heating and cooling contract, but again, that was a slight increase from what it was in '22. Cleaning services reflects a very slight $1,150 increase there. It's cleaning, floor care, power washing, and pest control. For professional services, and this is a item that stayed the same as it was last year. Children's books, I think that's probably our biggest attraction to the
Yeah.
library now, right?
That is my highest circ, yeah.
And it's going to be, well, it's exciting because at the end, we're going to talk about the plan for the floor.
Oh, nice, okay,
So the
cool.
council can come up to speed on that. And then what we'll do is, we'll bring them up to speed on how we're going to do that. So children's books, this stayed the same at this increase, no, it stayed the same, $88,090. This was, again, do you want to talk about the children's programs, what you guys do over there for a little bit?
Sure, we, summer reading is the biggest, so takes the big bulk of it, and we're really happy now it's kind of come back from before COVID, so like last year we had over 100 kids at our kickoff, which was really nice. We also have music programs, story times, all kinds of your classic kind of stuff, so, yeah.
Otherwise not classified, that had an increase there from 230.25 to 260.291. I just want to remind the council that this is not final. There are going to be changes to this budget as well, and that's going to be reflected in the next item I'm going to discuss. You see that there's $30,000 allotted for boxing and storage of books, and this is so that the library can get the floors redone. But Catherine and I were able to figure out a way to cut that in half to $15,000. So the budget book shows 30, but there's other areas, and specifically within the library's budget, there's going to be some changes as well, and obviously you'll see all of this when the appropriations are finalized. But just let the flooring, basically what we had was, and I don't want to speak for you, but we had a contract for $30,000 to box, move, store all the books while the floor gets replaced. And Catherine and I decided that if we had the same company come and just box and move them into a pod, we can store the pod at DPW, saving $15,000.
Yeah.
So to us, that's a no-brainer.
Yes.
Saves a lot of money for the library, a lot of money for the town, and allows the floors to get done in a way that allows the children to use it and our residents to use it.
Yes.
So I
Make
think
sure
it's
everything's safe.
It's a
Yep.
pretty good idea going forward.
Yeah.
So we saved some money in other areas, and like I said, that'll be reflected in the final budget. You have any questions for Catherine? Library's the hidden gem of Cedar Grove.
I have one question. Is the library going to be closed for an extended period of time?
It shouldn't be an extended period, but it will have to be closed for part of it because there's asbestos abatement that'll have to
Okay.
happen.
Yeah.
So,
Which is,
That's
that'll
the
probably
reason
be,
we're doing floors, right?
yeah.
yeah, they're original from '65, so,
And it'll be off-season, right, when we're not in the peak of the busyness, and,
Yep.
Yeah.
and, that will be, and that's part of the library's plan, or the library's budget and whatnot, so it's not gonna really impact the tax dollars on our end. Especially because with savings like this, it makes it a little bit more feasible
Yeah.
for the library to do it.
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
we'll be putting in towards some of the flooring and things
Yeah.
like that, so
Yeah.
that's why it's not in here.
How you doing with, meetings and meeting rooms? I know before COVID, there was a lot of discussion over the years, so I just kinda, where's that kinda, where do you envision that, or what's your thoughts?
We have a plan that we've kind of trying to put into place over several years, which would ultimately move, I mean, you know, we have the stacks all on one side, move those to the other side.
When you walk into, on the right-hand side, the
Yep.
stacks are there, right?
So we'd move those over to the other side where the art gallery is, and then get that part glassed off. So then, and it would have, be able to have a partition in the middle, so that way we would have meeting space. Because right now, everything we do,
It's all open.
it's all open. We bought some panels to kind of try to reduce the noise, but like, you know, if we have the movie and, or a children's program, for example, we have like, you know, music with Miss Lynn, you're not gonna be able to concentrate.
And would you
So-
say that more of the library's use is more geared towards those types of activities, right?
My bigger groups, yes.
Yeah, less people are coming and checking out a book and sitting and reading than
Yes.
having
Yeah, we
meeting
have,
events and whatnot.
yeah, we have people that come in to kind of do work, you know, laptops, because we have the Wi-Fi, things like that. Not so much recreational reading in the building anymore, but between the programs and that kind of thing, those are our heavier uses.
And like I said, it's the hidden gem of Cedar Grove.
Thank you.
I've been making my way over there about once a week, where I try to walk over
No,
and
and it's appreciated, it
pop my
is.
head in just to check in and see, and it's good to kind of have, you know, have this conversation with, you know, everyone here now, and it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
All right?
Thank you.
Catherine, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see D, so do you guys want to jump
want me
to,
And we'll
James,
see if she's down there.
if you can, yeah, sure, thanks. Second, James, let me see if D wants to jump in, then health is on 45, if you want to jump there first. Do you guys have any questions while I'm here? Like I was saying before, you know, Lubna and I will get the revenue side probably within a little over a month, and then we'll come back to the council for consideration with the estimated tax rate.
Keith isn't here yet, but that's okay.
It's okay. I spoke with Keith last week.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Ready to roll? So we have our health budget here. He does a great job. Dog licenses now, right? That's the big thing
Yeah,
right
that's
now?
the big thing now, it's dog
I think Councilwoman
licenses.
Scavenge put hers in last week, I hope.
Yes.
I think.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
There's a very slight $4,352 increase in the health budget. We'll go through it now. Mileage stayed the same at $100. Forms, permits, and licenses, that stayed at $1,200. I've seen how many licenses come in here. Saw it today, and it's
Yeah,
a lot. So
Yeah.
D really does a great job and has a great handle on it. And like we say it when I'm on this side, but now I see it daily, and it's amazing to see how D navigates that. Conference and dues, that stayed the same at $530. And the increase really came from contractual increases with professional services. The Montclair contract, I think that's a standard increase that went from $72,552 in '22 to $76,904 in '23. Deer Carcass contract stayed the same as $3,000. Laboratory tests $50. Public health nurses $200. Essex Health Commission $4,050. That'll in rodent control stayed the same at $3,500. Health supplies $50 stayed the same. $250 for health program supplies stayed the same as it was last year. Overall, this budget went from $141,370.22 to $145,722 in '23. Very, very small increase. The only other thing, and we'll talk about this too, is the animal control. There was an increase from $38,142 in 2022 to $41,099, and that's from the Wayne Animal Control contract, mostly, which went from $33,942 in 2022 to $36,899 in 2023.
I have two questions. Does Montclair, our contract with Montclair, that typically increase every year?
No.
No?
No, I believe that we had a 3 or 4 year contract.
Okay.
And then it just increased.
This is a new contract, I
Yeah,
think,
we
for
just
this
had a
one.
new contract. Yeah, this was just a new
So this is the new rate
contract.
going forward, it'll be
Yes.
76 going forward?
The new rate going forward would be 76 going forward for, well, I don't know how long that contract's for, but I imagine probably for the same term
Yeah.
that the old one was for 3 or 4 years.
And then with the licenses, do we have, I
Now,
was.
dog licenses, right?
Dog licenses,
Yes.
sorry, yeah. I know I was just in a couple weeks ago myself, before you, I think, Councilman.
I handed mine to the town manager. That's a true
Hand
story, in the parking lot.
Do we have the capability, and I don't even know, to do that online? I mean, I know are you able to register online and have it mailed out to you, or what?
We could register online. I mean, we don't have the capabilities right now to register online. It would be the payments that would be the issue. Because it would go through the finance department and where the taxes and the water is paid. So, right now, we don't have the capabilities to do that. We still would be mailing back
Yes,
the
or have
licenses.
somebody come pick it up at some point.
Right,
You can do
right.
your electronic payment and then come in.
Yeah,
online
most
if
people,
you're
if they're
able
gonna do it electronically, they don't wanna come in.
Yeah.
We would be mailing it back,
Right.
right?
I don't know if that's something we.
Yeah, so just so the council's aware, I mean, I've proposed in capital, a network for the town hall, which I would imagine will allow a little bit easier access to implement something like this. I think we would have to weigh the equities of, one, what the fees would be if they're paying online, and what we would, spend mailing the license to the individual, and if that would be offset by implementing the software or whatnot.
If there was any way that we could have a census and go out there and get more, because we only have, maybe, 25 cats licensed in town, and we have under 800 dogs licensed in town. If there was any way that we could have some kind of a census, a animal pet census, because, if you pay somebody $10 an hour to go do that, we get 10.20 for every, that goes to the town, 10.20 for every license. So one license in that hour, and you've covered the cost of the person, so.
But, two things, on the license itself, for me personally, I would love the opportunity to go online, register. I'd come down here or send somebody in my family to come pick it up. The option there, I know it's me, a lot of people don't have checkbooks anymore, right?
I understand,
I know,
yes.
I realized that recently when I went and I asked the bank for checks. He's like, nobody gets checks anymore. I'm like, really? I do, but you gotta come down here old school and write out a check in
Or
the form.
cash.
Or cash, so I think that would be nice, and then having that option, and maybe we encourage people, you come pick it up. We don't have maybe a mail back in that sense, but something we can consider.
Yeah, totally. I think that, with the increase of technology in town hall, I think that would be something that would be more readily and easily ascertainable than, because now we pay water online, pay taxes online, pay sewer online, pilot online, so
We're getting there.
we're getting there.
With
Yeah.
regard to the census, what do other towns, like, how, that, you've mentioned that, I believe, in the past too. How do we go about, implementing that? What would we do? What do other towns do? How do you get a census out?
They send out letters telling people that basically to every household that we can,
Right?
to have them fill out a census that way. And then for whatever we don't get, they then send out people to, sort of like the regular census. You ask for them by mail, and then you send people out to the houses that haven't answered.
I'm sure we could probably implement something via Nixle or something online too to help
We,
reach out.
it would be helpful to, I'm unsure if we would hit all the houses if we did it maybe at the beginning, if I knew this ahead of time, we did it at the beginning of the year when the tax bills went out.
Right.
For next year.
Right, or that would help with the cost, because you could piggyback it with that.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's one mailing to
right.
each household.
It's something the council should consider, because you've asked for it a number of occasions, and if it, even if you capture a portion of that, it's real money.
Yes.
We would be capturing,
Yes.
right?
Real quick, Councilman Snell, Keith's here from Montclair, so if you have any questions about the Montclair contract, he's your guy.
We were just asking, you know, I just saw the contract. I understand we have a new contract with Montclair?
Yeah, starting, it was 2022 it started, a 4-year contract.
Okay.
2022 and until, I guess, through 2025.
Is the fee in there fixed? I don't recall.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
fixed?
at the time, signing the contract, they had a fixed fee for each of the years, correct? So that goes
Does it increase each year, or is it a fixed fee?
flat.
Okay, so what we're seeing here going forward, it's at 76,904, that'll be for the next 4 years, each 4.
Oh, no, flat, the interest rate, the percentage is, it's 5% every year. That doesn't change, it's not like 2, 3, 4, like, not like an escalating percentage, but it's 5% a year.
Oh, that increases? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's for 4 years?
4 years, correct.
Yeah, which I think was the term of the last contract.
Yeah, they're usually about 4 years. Some people do longer. With Cedar Grove, we've been with
Yeah.
guys a long time. We've always stuck with 4 has been a good number.
We have, it's been a long time.
Keith and I
Yeah.
met.
Oh, yeah.
We met last week. We had a pretty good conversation just about different things going on and discussed a lot of, the lead ordinance. We discussed,
Yeah,
different
that's
things.
hurting all. Township wise, they didn't think. I don't think they really thought that went through before they passed that. But that's a whole. Other discussion.
It's a whole other
It's
conversation.
another day.
Yes, Keith's our Montclair contact there for the contract. Any other questions for Keith right now before we jump to animal control? Okay.
I have a question about licenses, again, not to go back to this, but, is there a fine associated with if you have an unlicensed pet in your house? Like, what are the repercussions for not getting your license?
In our ordinance, we have a $10 late fee after March 1st.
Right,
And then we have, there's issues with the rabies vaccinations. If your dog, the rabies vaccination expires prior to November 1st, you can't license it in January.
Right.
And people don't like to get their dogs vaccinated ahead of time.
okay.
So I send out warnings in May to warn them that, and we have a rabies clinic. So in May, at the beginning, I warn them that they need to license their dog by June 1st. And I give them the rabies clinic in May as an possibility to get that last in for the rabies.
Yeah.
And then we do give them a violation if they don't do by June 1st.
Okay,
By that time, it's usually maybe 10 or 15 people.
yeah,
Every year I get them, now for the most part, if they're licensed by June.
okay. Thank you.
And that's, I think, $30 for that ticket. Cats, we don't have that ability with
Right, because
cats.
they're not coming in for the rabies.
Right.
I'm wondering, again, you're looking to enforce it so people comply. Is the $10 penalty working? You're not looking to, penalize people, but at the same time, you're not complying. Does it actually,
we-
you see that?
I do, and the violations also, because
Yeah.
when we weren't doing violations, and every year we were losing people and losing people and losing
Right.
people. And then when I started with the violations, I would get maybe there'd be 100 people that were old licensed but hadn't renewed.
Right.
And then when we did the violations, I started everybody was on board
good.
every year, yeah.
You just want them to comply, or not,
Right,
you'd
right.
rather them comply than have to
Yes.
pay a violation
Yeah.
or a penalty, so, okay.
Yeah, we want because there is rabies within our area with cats and raccoons. And we really want the dogs to be licensed so we can make sure that they're vaccinated. And in that process, when I went from no violations to giving out tickets, there was a big uptick in trying to get, everybody was struggling to get their dogs vaccinated because they weren't.
Right.
So that's another reason to have them everybody licensed so everybody can be vaccinated.
Animal control is the last item here, page 47. We have the part-time dog and cat canvas in here at 1,500, that stayed the same. We
Yeah,
could-
we've never gotten
yeah,
anybody.
We can maybe reassess that next year and apply that towards, whether it's a mailing, like Councilman Tanal was just saying. The big increase here, again, this is not a big increase at all, but 2022 was $38,142. This went to $41,099, and that's from the Wayne Animal Control contract, which in 2022 was $33,942, and in '23, as proposed, $36,899. Again, another contractual increase that drives this to go up slightly. Any questions on animal control?
Is that a result of more calls or anything? It's a new contract, but was it just an increase?
Realistically, and Keith and I were talking about this last week, it's very hard to find animal control for sheltering and, the actual,
ACO services and sell the control, yeah, so that we see there is probably it's just contractual,
Just
their costs go
contractual.
up, like
Yeah.
even ours, we have a shelter in Montclair, and our costs went like through the roof. Like, people wanted to contract with us, and we stopped doing contracts, that's how cost prohibitive it's become. Maplewood, just because it was, St. Hubert's just lost, they stopped doing animal control services, and like, all these towns, they don't have an ACO service anymore, or a shelter to bring animals to, and like, Maplewood, all these surrounding towns, so, because, on our end, for them, it was cost for them, but for us, it's just, we had to stop, because it was crazy.
because the sheltering is the real driving cost there, right?
Sheltering, but, vet services, 'cause like part of it, you bring an animal in, it's gotta be, before you can adopt it out, it's gotta have all, usually has $400 in services from a vet to get it, to where it needs to be adoptable, a lot of, shots and surgeries if they're gonna be spayed or neutered. And then also, medications, that's our biggest bill that went up also, is, once you have an animal in the shelter, if it needs constant care, it's, food and vet, everything went up,
All makes sense, right?
yeah, so that's.
This might be a long-term problem that, again, Keith and I were talking about this, where maybe the county can have some type of interest in forming some type of animal control. These are all conversations to be had, with other municipalities and other
Yeah,
entities.
our health departments, we've been barking up that tree, even at recent meetings with it, we have a county meeting every week ever since COVID, so we talked to, the health officer there, it's not the county exec is not, it's not big on our list because it's a problem child, it's not a, hey, I'm doing a park over, or like feel-good projects, it's 24-hour business, very, people heavy, very, and sometimes you get people that don't always appreciate what you do, and like, they think you're, we had an issue for a long time, we weren't, but they think you're a kill shelter, and like, so there's a lot of issues that come along with shelters. We're in a good place now, we have a good vet that works with us, but, so I think
There's a lot of challenges.
political challenges that people don't wanna get involved, I think they kinda like, it's not their favorite thing to jump into, so it's a tough one, we're still looking into it, but.
Any other questions on animal control here? See none? You guys are dismissed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, Keith. Thank you, Dave. Before I call James up here, we're gonna start with public buildings. That's on page 22 of the budget book. This had a very slight increase, 2022 proposed 116,935, 23 123,35. Again, very slight increase here. Building maintenance, that line, the 101 and 11 account, stayed the same at $22,121. For postage within the municipal offices, that increased $500 from $17,000 to $17,500. Maintenance of equipment stayed the same at $8,715. Page 23 of the budget book, you're gonna see a $5,000 increase here from last year, and that's for maintenance of the generator at the South End Firehouse and for the town hall generator, which we have installed outside. That's a $3,500 increase from what it was last year. Overall, that 262 account went up $5,500. Cleaning services stayed the same at $850. Mail meter, $100 increase from $1,900 to $2,000. Overall, like I stated before, this budget went from $116,935 in '22 to $123,035 in '23 as proposed. Real quick, next we'll jump to the planning and the zoning board, then we'll call James up. Planning board, again, very, very slight increase from $38,914 in '22 to $39,058. That's page 24 of the book.
Thank you.
Good. So in '22, this was $38,914, increased to $39,058 in '23. Again, that's very slight increase from the attorneys attending the zoning board meetings. I'm sorry, the planning board meetings. This is the planning board one. The conference and dues stayed the same at $560. Attorneys increased from $52.08 to $53.52. Very, very slight increase. All of the line items stayed the same. And that's a grand total, again, 38,914 and 22 to 39,58 and 23. Zoning boards looks a little different. This had an increase in the attorney services as well from 3906 to 4005. Miscellaneous books and special articles stayed the same at 250. Recording tapes and ribbons for the office supplies stayed the same at 250. This had a, again, very, very, very small increase from $36,082 in 2022 to $36,181 in 2023. Very, very small increase. Now it's time for James. This is page 28 of our budget book. James Hoffman, our code enforcement building inspector. You guys got any questions for James before I jump in? Good, ready?
Yeah.
All right. So the building inspector's budget, then we'll jump into the plumbing and electrical inspectors. This is another very small increase from last year. It was $267,639. There's an increase to $283,151. Again, it's a very small increase given what the state of the economy is. This is a $15,512 increase. We'll go through the lines now. Power, heat, and light, the 231 account stayed the same at $54.50. Printing and binding, $1,500. That stayed the same there. Conference and dues, $335, stayed the same there. Where you see an increase is with the spatial data. That's the software that you use for the inspections.
Yes.
That's going to increase slightly from even what you see here, given an increase in that fee. That was $8,110 last year. It's going to increase slightly this year once the fees are calculated for that. Again, this budget, total other expenses went from $113,790 to $129,302. That's an increase, total increase in the budget this year is $283,151 from $267,639 last year. Any questions on the code enforcement end? Part-time, we have the plumbing inspector. This budget, very, very small increase here of $93. So that's what I mean when I say we try to keep it low. And that's from the Social Security increase there. This total budget is $26,965. Last year was $26,872. Again, a very small increase given the state of the economy. Skipping the fire inspector for a second, we'll go back to that. Actually, we could stay on that. It's $15,000, stayed the same as it was last year, and that might be tweaked as well in the future. Andy, our part-time electrical inspector, this budget again, $26,965 this year as proposed, $26,872 last year. It's a very small increase that mirrors the plumbing inspector's budget exactly. Do you have any questions for James?
Well, you don't see any issues or anything of concern? Things are going well?
No, things are going good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeping James busy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like James wears many hats too. He, like I was talking about the judge before, when the judge is never out, James subs in for whoever it is whenever they're needed. He's very, apt and qualified at what he's doing, and we're grateful to have him here.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, James, you're off the hot
Thank
seat.
you.
Good.
No, that was it. That was
That was
quick.
easy.
That was it.
Yes.
Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Real quick, I'm moving the police department to tomorrow at 6:30. I just want to explain what tomorrow's going to look like for us, and then I'll answer any questions you have. Tomorrow at 5, we have the rec department, public events, and the community pool. 5:15 is engineering, which includes streets and roads, shade tree, equipment, snow removal, parks and playgrounds, and the water and sewer utility. 5:30, we have the rescue squad and the ambulance, CATV committee, environmental committee, and the open space committee. At 5:35, we have capital, and 6 o'clock is the fire department, and 6:30 is the police department. So we'll go through all those tomorrow. You guys have any questions now? As I said, these are just the appropriations as they are now. They may change up, they may change down a little bit, and we're going to continue to tweak them until we get the revenues, at which point we will present to the council both ends of the budget. When I say we, I mean Lubna and I. All right,
Perfect.
that's it?
Nice job.
All right.
Good job,
You
thank
need a
you.
motion to adjourn, Mayor?
Make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll
Second.
oh, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, click off over here. Is that-
It might be on, yeah.